day, everyone. My name is Paul Hussein, and I'm Schlumberger's Director for Stimulation Services. I'm joined today with Femi Yusuf, our Product Manager for Chemistry. And we're going to talk to you today about our HIWAY fracturing technique, which is very much in tune with today's burning discourse, which is how can we improve your well's productivity while at the same time reducing our environmental impact. Today, completion methodologies continue to evolve, with wells going from vertical to horizontal, longer horizontal laterals, and more stages being placed in each lateral. Even so, within each stage, we are now pumping increasing volume of proppant. Our estimates, together with that of the industry, forecast robust stage count growth through 2025. And despite an expected dip due to the pandemic effect, we also forecast significant growth in the amount of proppant to be used in fracturing treatments, today being predominantly sand. So much so that by 2025, we expect as much as 500 billion pounds of proppant to be needed for hydraulic fracturing treatments, and as much as 8 billion barrels of water. Combined, that equates to as much as 24 million tons of CO2 emitted in hydraulic fracturing treatments in just 1 year. To put that in layman's terms, 500 billion pounds of sand is the equivalent of moving as much as 12 million 40-foot truckloads of sand to the well site. And that 8 billion barrels of water is as much as 500,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools full. And from a carbon perspective, 24 million tons is the equivalent of driving more than 5 million cars for more than 1 year. Quite significant indeed, I'm sure you can agree. So what can we do to reduce that impact? What about if we had a technology that allows you to increase your production or injection while at the same time reducing the amount of carbon you emit? Our HIWAY fracturing technique allows you to achieve that objective. In traditional fracturing treatments, we fracture the reservoir using fluid pressure and then pack the fracture with a homogeneous proppant pack, such that the pore space between the proppant pack allows for the flow of your hydrocarbons to the well. In HIWAY fracturing, however, we place instead discrete stable proppant pillars, such that the space between the pillars provide that highly conductive flow path to the reservoir, a so-called superhighway to the wellbore, or what we talk in fracturing terms, an infinite conductivity frac, giving you the opportunity to increase your well productivity significantly. And while HIWAY was originally developed to enhance the production of reservoirs needing highly conductive fracs, so-called mid or high perm reservoirs, we now know from more than a decade of experience using HIWAY that it provides benefit in all reservoir environments, from both conventional and unconventional reservoirs, be that shale, tight gas, or even carbonates where we sometimes fracture treatment. And we do so while at the same time using less proppant, as much as 40%, and less water, as much as 30% less. So we're quite excited about it because it's applicable in oil, condensate, and gas reservoirs, and in vertical inclined and horizontal wells. In an offshore environment where your operational risk and your logistics are also significantly higher, HIWAY provides an additional advantage by having almost zero screen-out risk. In fact, in all the treatments we have done, less than 0.5% of them have resulted in premature screen-out. So a significant opportunity to improve your well production while cutting your carbon emitted. So with that, I'll pass it on to Temi, who's going to go into some more detail on the technique and the benefits it can bring for you.
Thank you, Paul. So in conventional fracturing treatments, we would usually mix and pump a combination of proppant, engineered chemistry fluids, and water in a unique blender. The slurry concentration is increased gradually over time until the entire fracture is filled with proppant. With HIWAY, on the other hand, we incorporate our proprietary fibers into the slurry. What this does is to enhance proppant transport while at the same time helping to maintain the integrity of the slurry from surface to downhole conditions. Now we combine this with a pulsed pumping technique, which has to do with alternating clean and dirty slurries throughout the entire treatment. This timed engineered pulsing requires a specialized blender to deliver, because we require immediate and prompt responses to frequent alternating changes in slurry concentrations. Now, most commercial blenders are not able to provide this. We have this specialized blender within our portfolio, and this serves as a key enabler to the execution of HIWAY. We sum this up with our simulation software, which is reservoir-centric with multi-domain expertise, and this helps to ensure that we provide optimum designs for your well performance. HIWAY fracturing technique is tried, tested, and proven, with over 45,000 application stages in over 3,300 wells and over 25 countries. The result is very glaring. We've been able to improve production by up to 20%, while reducing the amount of water used by up to 30%, the amount of proppants used by up to 40%. We did this also while reducing the risk of premature spin out to almost zero, less than 0.5%, and emitting up to 25% less CO2 to the environment. Now, this is a huge impact. When you consider the discussions that we're having around sustainability and the environmental impact of our operations, HIWAY is an invaluable tool in your toolbox to meeting your future sustainability goals. Now, HIWAY fracturing technology aligns very closely with the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, particularly those related to Goals 6, 12, and 13. These address clean water and sanitation, responsible consumption and production, as well as climate action. In the year 2012, way ahead of time, Schlumberger introduced a tool which we call the stewardship tool. This tool helps us to quantify the environmental impact of our operations, and it has been very, very valuable to helping to prioritize our technology development to ensure we provide those with the minimum environmental impact. So we use the stewardship tool to quantify 2020 impact of HIWAY. And with over 1,000 stages pumped in 10 countries, we were able to reduce emissions by up to 8,500 tons. We reduced the proppants required by 63,000 tons and the water requirement by almost 800,000 barrels. To put this in perspective, this is equivalent to almost 2,000 passenger vehicles taken off the road. Is the weight of 6 Eiffel Towers. And if we filled up 50 Olympic swimming pools with water, that would be how much we were able to conserve using HIWAY. Now, these numbers are pretty conservative, as we have not quantified the associated impact of bulk materials such as proppant on water sourcing and manufacture. We have a very exciting case study to share with you, and this happened in West Africa offshore. Our client had a peculiar challenge. The well had been completed with a slim diameter tubing, which restricted our treating pressure to about 6,000 psi. Now, the reservoir needed hydraulic fracturing to produce economically, and when we considered the optimum design and the constraints in front of us, we saw a heightened risk for premature spin out on this operation. When you consider a spin out contingency in an offshore environment, these are extremely expensive and very risky. So we were posed with this challenge. How can we reduce the spin out risk, reduce logistics cost, and ensure that the productivity of the well is not negatively impacted? We proposed to the client the usage of HIWAY fracturing technique together with our ultramarine seawater-based fluid. If you look to the plot on your right, this was the treating pressure plot for the job that was executed. And when you zoom in, you can see here the signature HIWAY proppant pulsing for the surface proppant concentration. We completed this job successfully, even though we had really tight pressure limitations, and we were able to achieve a 14-fold productivity index increase when compared with the pre-frac test. We did all of this while reducing the water consumption by up to 25% and proppant by more than 40%. In absolute terms, this turned out to be about 550 barrels of water and over 150,000 pounds of proppant. The client was extremely pleased. As a matter of fact, we had released a press statement very soon after the execution, indicating that the production from this well far exceeded their expectations. Now, we have not stayed still, and we continue to work with you, our valued customers, to ensure that our technology development for the future aligns with your business imperatives. We intend to continue improving the sustainability profile of your operations, improving the reliability of our performance, as well as improving the overall cost efficiency of your operations. Our roadmap integrates the substitution of propellant or sand with low-cost, locally sourced sand. And what this does is to reduce significantly the associated emissions with the sourcing of bulk materials such as propellant. We would also be exploring high-performance, cost-effective fluids, as well as enhancing our multi-physics stimulation software. What all of these will do is to reduce your costs significantly, reduce the risk associated with your operations, and ensure that we reduce the emissions associated with your operations for the future. And with this, I will pass over to Paul, who will recap the value that HIWAY provides for your operations.
Thank you very much, Temi. So, as you rightfully said, HIWAY has a proven track record and provides an opportunity to improve well productivity while at the same time reducing carbon emissions. As we can see from our experience, the screen-out risk is zero. It's less than 0.5% of all stages performed. And on average, we can deliver as much as 20% more production. And even in cases where reservoirs don't need highly conductive fracs, we know it delivers at least equivalent production. All the same, while doing so with 40% less propellant and 30% less water. The result being as much as 25% less CO2 emissions. So we're very excited about the opportunity that HIWAY presents and look forward to using it in one of your wells. Thank you very much.
Thank you.